I'm feeling much better about the team and the recruiting and everything else since we've been kind of rating the transfer portal and got ranked #1 on the transfer portal. Didn't expect that.
Yes, 2 more coming in on Tuesday from Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
I found the Jack Tuttle transfer to be an interesting one because he was at one point a 4-star himself. His college career has not proceeded the way I'm sure he envisioned.
Yeah.
Couldn't win the job at Utah. Sat behind Michael Penix at Indiana. Got his shot at times when Penix was hurt. Played okay in spurts. Connor Baseley comes in and again loses the quarterback battle. But this is exactly what you would think that Michigan would be looking for. Not somebody to compete with J.J. McCarthy, but somebody who's played a lot of football and seen it, played in the Big Ten. So he's not going to be fazed by anything and going to be that guy that's content with serving as a backup, knowing his place, but being ready at a moment's notice to take over.
Ding, ding. So he's the Alan Bowman replacement.
Yeah.
So Alan Bowman, as those of you following, he's transferring. So we're going to have, obviously, JJ is starting quarterback. But then, we kind of need to build that depth because you never know, one play and it's next man up. So you gotta build that depth. And this year, Alan Bowman, even though he didn't win the job, in the limited time he did play, they designed some rollouts for him that went really well. He did look good in limited time. And so we're going to need somebody like that, who can come in and play against the Connecticut's and those teams and just like build up his reps, build up his snaps so that if the time does come where he's needed, he's alongside, I think Davis Warren's coming back from what I understand. And then obviously he would be, Tuttle would be another one, kind of in the QB room, just add some depth for Matt Weiss and that squad.
And then you've got the tight end comes in from Indiana.
It's like an Iowa situation, but it's got kind of a QB tight end pair.
Yes,
like
combination.
Iowa got ours.
Yep. Caught 28 balls last year with Indiana, AJ Barner. So again, you're talking about a guy that may not light up the world, but at the same time, he's played in the Big Ten. He's succeeded. 2 of his 3 touchdown throws were against Penn State and Ohio State. So that's got to sound good to Michigan fans. But with Luke Schoonmaker, I'm guessing moving on.
Yeah, he's absolutely going to be going for the NFL.
And this Colston Loveland.
Yeah, look out.
Wow.
I just the clutch moves he's made the last 2 games. I think we're pretty happy with him as starting tight end next year. And guess what? We still have him and Schoonmaker for the playoffs. That's pretty cool. Here's what I'm wondering about. So this NIL discussion that we keep happening, and we kind of keep this dialogue going, which we're all kind of like, well, everybody knows that A&M and Miami toss the bags around. But Zach Smith said something. I don't usually ever quote him, but he said something interesting where I think the UTSA coach was saying like, okay, these people are poaching our players. They're throwing bags around. And so his point is like, can we just start calling them out? Just like, let's see the receipts. Let's see the proof. I'd like to do that because I do think that A&M and Miami are probably throwing bags around, but I'd like to know for sure that they're throwing bags around. I'd like to get some solid analysis and reporting on this. And then maybe either the NCAA says, okay, we got to crack down, or they'll say, hey, let's just have a salary cap like the NFL does. And let's just can we just pick one or the other instead of this like awkward middle space where some people are throwing bags around, some people aren't. And it's just I would love, just let's be logically consistent one way or another.
So we know as soon as NIL took off, which would be a year and a half now, is July 1st of 21. Excuse me, that the first move that the NCAA made that I'm aware of that was out there in regards to not making some kind of decision, but making an actual move. People going to South Florida
Right.
to talk to, it's John Ruiz, correct? Talk to him, talk to Miami, just not in some accusatory way, but just to find out what are they doing with NIL and how
Yeah.
are they operating. And here's the deal that in some ways we would have hoped that this would have cleaned up the matter, to your point that, okay, it's now out in the open. The players can be compensated. It
Right.
has to be done a certain way, meaning they're not paid. It's not an income. It is a collective. It's an opportunity to be a businessman and to sell your brand. And the school can, they can, what word am I looking at? Facilitate that to a certain extent,
Right.
govern that, help out with the process, because it all sounds well and good, but once you get legalities involved in taxes and all those sorts of things, that can be quite overwhelming, excuse me, for an 18-year-old. So do all the right things and make sure that it's above board and that the player, in fact, is earning that money by being a brand, doing something to compensate for that, or to um, not just be paid for play, because that's not supposed to be what's going on. And this, again, is supposed to all happen after the player commits and signs and enrolls at the
Yeah.
school, not
Supposed to.
as an
Yeah.
enticement.
Right. Transformational, not transactional, as Jim Harbaugh always says.
Hmm.
And Steve Dace, I was kind of on his train for a bit, where it was kind of like hit the panic button. We got to shore up NIL. We got to shore up NIL. And now that I've seen what's happened with A&M this year, where they had a bazillion 5 stars, they went 5-7, and now people are transferring. And maybe part of that's because they went 5-7, but I think part of it might be they got the bag. Okay, they got the bag, and now they're going to the school that they want to go to. That might be part of it too. And so I hear that there's some talk, and again, nothing conclusive, but On3, I guess, has been saying that Michigan's going to hire a director of NIL, which would be awesome, because I think that us as fans were contributing to the NIL communities and collectives that are out there. But it would be nice to have like a George Washington of NIL that could just like bring it all together and help these athletes find opportunities like Dunkin' Donuts, JJ, and those types of things.
Absolutely. And you or any other college football fan that would contribute to an NIL want to know that those donations are going in the direction that you want them to. There's certainly going to always be some slight level of overhead involved, but that should be minimal.
Absolutely. So yeah, I just like to. I actually don't hate now that we're getting a lot of 3 and 4 stars, because what we're finding is those 3 and 4 stars are getting developed into like Ronnie Bell was a 3 star, I believe. And he became one of our best wide receivers, right? And so we haven't all. I think historically we've kind of been that way, but now what we're seeing is with the right coaching and development, even 3 and 4 stars and some five. I mean, we have a couple of 5 stars, but with that combo, you can even make the playoffs. So if that's the case, then why throw hundreds of thousands of dollars at 18-year-olds, all the time? Necessarily, yeah. Maybe some hybrid of both is. Maybe they're going to find that out, but maybe it's a combo.
And if the player is receiving the right kind of advice and has the right kind of family support,
Right.
then they can understand. And again, if they're receiving the right type of counsel, that there's a difference between going to said school that's throwing you a bag of cash
Right.
versus said school that will take you through the NIL process, will address it and explain it to you, but give you no guarantees. But there's a
Nope.
track record there, there's a structure there, and go there, trust, and then produce, and good things will follow.
Absolutely. And you're probably going to talk about this on the 5 o'clock. But obviously, a big 4-star wide receiver commit, Carmelo English,
Yep.
that they were able to get for National Signing Day. And if you look at the offer list, it was substantial. We're talking Bama, we're talking Texas A&M, we're talking Tennessee, we're talking Georgia, we're talking heavy hitter teams that Michigan outdueled. I think it was down to Michigan and Auburn in the Crystal Balls, but Michigan came out ahead, and that's a testament, I think, to what playoffs can do. As you know full well from Ohio State being in the playoffs almost every single year since its inception, that with success comes recruiting, and it's not necessarily just about the bags, but that going to a program that can consistently produce.